And we got day 3 here for my workout. We got back and shoulder day today. Simple series of pull-ups here. 10, 5, and 3.5 is what I had in my previous workout. Not too high on the numbers, but that was the first time that I was really experimenting with the 1-minute rest period, so my numbers dropped quite a bit. I'm also really focusing on two things with my pull-ups these days. One is a very strong, solid pause at the top, and of course, hinging my hips a little bit so my legs are straight, they stick out a little bit in front of me, and they allow my torso to be a little bit more vertical, allows me to get a lot more good tension in my upper back and my lats as a whole. There's set 1, 10 repetitions in the bag, 1 minute of rest. Very consistent rest periods make quite a difference these days for muscular fatigue, which if you're building, or your goal is to build muscle, especially and with your calisthenics training, having a consistent rest period can make quite a difference. It's not something you always have to do, but it's good to do to keep your fatigue in check, at least from time to time. I'm experimenting with a couple of camera angles here. It's really difficult for me to get a decent shot doing pull-ups here at the gym because I try not to have other people in the background and stuff. So this is the corner unit where I could get some pull-up shots without having anybody else in shot, but it's kind of hard for me to have a good angle so you can see what I'm doing. So try and do a couple things. Try maybe if the reflection in the mirror shows a little bit more of what I'm doing. I'm also trying to get my elbows into my sides. I'm driving my elbows as much in as possible. I'm getting a lot of my lats engaged. Few grinder reps to finish off the pull-up sets, and I had some good progressions. I went from 5 to 8 and 3.5 to 5 repetitions on the last set. Then we're on to shoulder work. For my Thursday shoulder workouts, we just dive bomber push-ups. I'm noticing that my shoulder stability is a very big weakness, in particular my shoulder and upper body development. So I've started incorporating these a bit more on my Thursdays for my quote handstand work. It's basically an overhead press style. I had 12, 7 and or 12, 10, and 7 last time, and so I'm basically trying to get 12 here, best that. But this has always been one of my most challenging exercises. Anything overhead press, reaching up overhead, definitely one of the things that I've long struggled with, and I'm starting to really realize that the shoulder stability is probably to blame. So I'm not really trying to actually best my repetitions on this one. I'm just trying to keep my back tense, trying to get my triceps engaged to a higher degree, my upper back engaged, and see if that can help improve my stability. Because really, at the end of the day, a lot of our ability to get bigger and stronger comes from a foundation of how stable we are. And oftentimes, if we don't improve our stability, then we're going to be stuck. So second set here, going for 10. This is also something I tend to really peter out pretty quick. You can see how my range of motion starts to get a little shorter. One of the ways you can adjust this exercise is by how close to the floor you're scooping yourself. If you really want to make this harder, make it so you're basically scraping your nose along the floor as you push up and back. So you can see I'm almost doing a little bit of a push-up off the floor and pushing back at the same time. That's a way to regress the tension. I'm also starting to discover too in this set that there's a really big difference in the tension in the upper body that comes from clawing the floor, gripping the floor as much as possible. One of the things that I'm starting to experiment with is basically if my hands are on the floor, my fingertips should be white. Whatever exercise, push-ups, handstand variations, dive bombers, whatever. That makes a very big difference in the stability in the upper back, stability in the shoulders, and a lot of tension in the arms. And on this last one here, it's really paying off. This, for me today, turned into almost a little bit more of like a tricep exercise than anything else. Sure, my shoulders got a good workout, but by the end of this last third set, my triceps were screaming at me. And I credit a lot of that to that whole gripping of the floor technique. Also trying to keep my legs relatively straight. You can see my knees starting to bend. Fatigue always breaks down, technique always breaks down under fatigue. There's no helping it. It's just trying to prevent it as much as possible. So there was my last set coming up here. No repetition progressions, but I made a note to grip the floor more as I had in the past, and that's my progression for the day. So there you go. Let me know if you have questions below. Be fit, live free.